right, you guys got to hear me preach at you from the yard all week, and now you get to hear me preach from the pulpit. Alright, I'll take that as a word then. I'm going to save my, that's louder. I'm going to save my voice tonight. I'm going to save my voice tonight and use the microphone. This is long enough. Alright, if you have your Bibles, am I too loud? I feel like I'm too loud. Nehemiah was the shortest man in the Bible.
No,
How do we know this?
No, there's a shoe height.
He's knee high. Maya. Guys, I've been getting dad jokes all week. You gotta be able to keep up with them now.
Funny.
All right. So to give a little context here, so who remembers? Can someone give a very brief explanation of what Pastor Joe said about Daniel? What happened to him when he was young? He got taken away from his home. So they, yes?
Okay, so that took him away from his family and his family was forced to do things that he didn't do in his home.
Yes, so they were taken out of Jerusalem, taken from their home. Their home was ultimately destroyed. He was stripped of his identity, given a new name, forced to learn a new language. Everything about who he was forced to change. And we know from Pastor Joe's lesson or from his sermon that Daniel took his stand. Daniel took his stand. He did not waver in his faith. But we're not talking about Daniel tonight, because Daniel wasn't the only one taken from his home. There were many who were taken away at a very young age and forced to grow up in a land that was not theirs. Now Nehemiah did not grow up in Jerusalem. Nehemiah did not grow up in what he considered his home, but he still considered it his home. And so to give us a little bit of time, when we see in Daniel chapter 1, verse 1 and 2, you don't have to turn there, it's going to be quick. It says, in the third year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem. And he besieged it, and the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with part of the vessels of the house of God. This is chapter 2, verse 1, it says, "It came to pass in the month Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes the king." And to give you a little context here, Nehemiah was the cupbearer to Artaxerxes the king. He was in a comfortable position. He was a man that was close to the king, trusted by the king, and no doubt had a certain amount of wealth. So here he is. He's talking about the king. He just heard this news about Jerusalem, and it says, "I took up the wine and gave it unto the king. Now I had not been before time sad in his presence. Wherefore the king said to me, Why is thy countenance sad, seeing thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then I was very sore afraid. I said unto the king, Let the king live forever. Why should not my countenance be sad when the city, the place of my father's sepulchres, lieth waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire? The king said to me, For what dost thou make request? So I prayed to the God of heaven, and keep in mind here, this is the second time already that Nehemiah has gone to prayer. We'll get back to that. Verse 5 of chapter 2 says, "And I said unto the king, If it please the king, and if thy servant have found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldest send me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may build it. And the king said to me," the queen also sitting by him, "For how long shall thy journey be, and when wilt thou return? So it pleased the king to send me, and I sent him the time." Let's pray before we get further into this. Heavenly Father, I thank you for the evening. I'm thankful for the opportunity to preach, and I pray that the words I say can be used to honor and glorify you, and that if anyone here tonight is struggling and is convicted of choices they need to make in their life, that they decide to make those choices now, not put them off. In your name I pray, amen. So we've got the foundation here. We've got a man named Nehemiah who isn't in Jerusalem. He doesn't live there. He hasn't spent his life there. He's a servant to the king, no doubt, living very comfortably. He has no reason to feel obligated to help out his people. So we first see with his vision that Nehemiah remembered who he was and who his people were. So my call to you as a Christian, as a young Christian, is what is your people? Who is your family? We have our actual family, right? We have our brothers and sisters. I have a lot of them. But you're all in, if you're saved, you're in God's family, right? How important is that family to you? It should be the most important family you have. And it should be burdening us to see people that are not a part of it. So first we have that Nehemiah recognized who he was. He was a Jew, and he was burdened for his people. And not just that, he identified what was wrong. We see in chapter 1 that he says that his scouts had told him the wall of Jerusalem also is broken down. And if you read verses 4 through 10, the rest of that chapter there, you see that he is extremely sorrowful. It should burden us when we see a problem. It should burden us when we see people hurting, when we see people in need. That's the first step. It's not just to be a man or woman of action, to be someone that can be used for God. You first have to have a burden for ministry, a burden for God, a burden to help other people. If we're living our lives focused and centered around ourselves, we're never going to be much of any use. So we see that Nehemiah has care and compassion for people that don't benefit him. He gets no benefit from going and helping them. But here he is troubled because he knows they are his people. So we see that Nehemiah has vision. Matthew 5:6 says, "Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled." There is something to be said about someone who thirsts after righteousness, someone who thirsts after God. Sometimes opportunities present themselves to us. We weren't looking for them. We weren't pursuing them, but here we See, Nehemiah had good intentions. He was burdened for God's people and for his city. Yet before he even did a single thing, he went to God in prayer. Turn real quick, if you're with me, to Philippians chapter 4. This is a familiar verse for some of you if you grew up in church. Philippians chapter 4, verse 6 says, "Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God." It goes on to say, now that it says, "And the peace of God," I love that peace of God. I'm sorry. "The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus." God wants us to go to Him. He wants us to give Him our burdens and our cares and to cast those upon Him. We keep too much to ourselves. Most of the time it's because we think we can fix ourselves. But we keep too much to ourselves. We don't have to do this alone. Life's going to be tough. And you guys are going to come up in a couple years. You're going to be transitioning from teenager to adult. And there's going to be a lot of cool things you'll get to do, but there's going to be a lot of hard things that you'll have to do and decisions you'll have to make. And you're probably going to make a few mistakes along the way. The biggest mistake you can do is to leave God out of those decisions.
That's right, amen.
I can look back at I'm 22. And although I'm getting a little bit older than some of you guys, it seems like just yesterday I was sitting where you were and I was 12, 13, 14 years old. You blink and you're like, whoa. I wish I could go to camp. I'm too old now. Now I get to come out to camp, but I gotta watch you guys. But you see, when it comes to making decisions, we need to be consulted with God. Because not only can God provide the answer because He knows the way, but God can provide peace. I think most of the time that's all I need.
Yeah, that's right.
See, it's not always about am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Sometimes it's just what I'm doing is hard. Or I have a lot on my plate at once. And so I think I don't need to go to God because I know I'm not doing anything wrong, but I'm struggling to do it all. And I think I can do this on my own. God wants to provide us peace, and He can if we go to Him for it. You see Nehemiah, before he wanted to do anything that he regretted or get in way over his head, he was a man of prayer. So he had a burden for his people. He consulted God, and now we see that Nehemiah was a man of planning. A man of planning. Real quick before I get into that, I want to take a moment to get into 1 John chapter 5. And I really want to focus on verses 14 and 15, but there's some really good stuff before that I want to talk about. 1 John 5:11. to believe that you need him. You have to believe that you need him. If you don't think you need him, then you think that you aren't that bad. Many people have sat in the same seats you're in. They've grown up, they've gone off, they're not in church, they don't believe in God, and they heard the same message you're hearing right now. They chose to ignore what they were hearing. They chose to ignore God. They chose to put him away. They presented the option. I can't make you do anything. I don't want to make you do anything. I want you to decide this on your own because only you can do that. Jesus has already done his part. He's died for you. He's paid for your sins. The slate has been wiped clean. But if you deny him, there's only one place for you to go. Jesus speaks openly. Willie said earlier, Jesus spoke of hell, and he did it for good reason. It's scary to think about, but it's real. And it's waiting for you. It was waiting for me. And the only reason it's not waiting for me now is nothing because of who I am or what I've accomplished. It is all because of God. But if we keep moving on here, 1 John here doesn't just let us know that we have eternal life. It's more than that. It's something that continues way past the moment I was saved. This is something that goes on through my entire life. We see in verse 14, and this is the confidence that we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he heareth us. And if we know that he heareth us, whosoever we ask, we know that we will have the petitions that we desired of him. This does not mean if you ask God for $1 million, that you're going to get $1 million. This does not mean if you ask God to make you 7 foot tall to play basketball, it's going to happen. But if we desire God and we're praying for those desires, God's going to see a way. Won't always be the way we think. We think this says God will give us and do things our way. Sometimes that's how I read it. My way's not very good most of the time, and I fail to see that. God will do things his way, but he can use you to do that if you let him. So we see Nehemiah here was not just a man of vision, but a man of prayer, but still we're really early in the story. All he's done is sat and cried about it and prayed. Nehemiah was a man of planning. This is my third point. Some things can be done pretty quickly. Sometimes you see a need, boom, you can do it. It's done. You see a piece of trash on the ground, you pick it up, throw it away, it's done. Some things take a little bit more time. Youth camp, for example. We didn't just decide that would be cool to have youth camp. Let's just show up Monday morning and see what happens. We had to plan. We had to make sure we had help. We had to make sure we had the stuff for it. I know you guys have been eating good this week. If that kitchen staff just decided, we'll show up Monday morning and see what's in the fridge, you guys would be real hungry this week.
That's right.
Some things take a lot of planning for them to happen. So you're going to see a need sometimes. It's not going to happen right away. This is one of those. Nehemiah saw that what he was up against was something big. It wasn't something that he should just foolishly jump into. Sometimes we can have good intentions, but we go in unprepared and without seeking counsel. We see Nehemiah display, if you read the story of Nehemiah, and it's good to study on your own sometime, he displays excellent leadership skills. And this starts from the moment he hears of this issue. A good leader is someone who consults God first. A good leader is someone who has a plan. And then as you read the story, you see that he leads his people and doesn't take advantage of them and leads them to accomplish a task and protects his people as he leads them there. Nehemiah chapter 2, we're going to read verses 11 here through 16. He's planning. He's heard the wall's down, but he hasn't seen it. So Nehemiah's going to go inspect the wall. It says here, so I came to Jerusalem and was there 3 days. And I arose in the night. It's nighttime. He's doing this in secret. I and some few men with me, neither told I any man what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. Neither was there any beast with me, save the beast that I rode upon. And I went out by the night by the gate of the valley, even before the dragon well, into the dung port, and viewed the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and the gates thereof were consumed with fire. Then I went on to the gate of the fountain, and to the king's pool, but there was no place for the beast that was under me to pass. Then I went up in the night by the brook, and viewed the wall, and turned back, and entered by the gate of the valley, and so returned. And the rulers knew not whither I went, or what I did, neither had I as yet told it to the Jews, nor to the priests, to the nobles, to the rulers, nor to the rest that did the work. So before he even told anyone of his grand master plan, he said, I need to know what I'm doing. There's a lot to be said about planning before committing to something. Something Brother Micah said. Me, Logan, and Micah were up here last night. We were doing our typical sipping coffee and talking, mostly nonsense. But one thing Micah said to me last night that I'm stealing that, is he said, a plan without action is just a dream. And that's true. We can be burdened and we can plan, but if you never do it, it doesn't mean anything. But what I thought the opposite here is an action without plan is a nightmare. I am very guilty. I'm what's called a procrastinator. Any of those in here? Some of you are honest at least. I do a lot of action without planning. I find that's my worst work. Sometimes it works out, but it's really chance, to be honest. So maybe if it's something that doesn't matter, that's fine. But should we really be doing that with God's work? When it comes to serving others and to helping others, should we really be jumping into things that we don't even know if we can do? We might even make it worse. So here we have Nehemiah. He's planning and he's looking things out. And he's laying an effective strategy before he jumps into things to know if he can even accomplish it. We know he's a man in high position. He works with the king. We know he has connections and he uses those to help get the wall built. Pastor Joe said last night, the only moment we have is now. I was telling my class this morning, we can't change our past. We can't change what we've done, whether good or bad. And we can't change our future. We can have goals and such for our future, but only thing we can do is live now. And if you have goals in the future, we can think, well, I'll do those in the future. But if you're going to do something then, you got to start doing it now. So let's talk about planning. This is more than just planning to fix this wall. How many of us have plans for our life? How many have plans past next week, other than sleeping this weekend? All right? 2 weeks, we're all probably going back to school, right? Soon enough. Most of you, I would assume, by the end of the month, are going to be back to school. Whether you are planning that or if it's your parents planning that, I don't know. But you will be back in school. We are planning things with our lives all the time. But I think most people, as you approach 15, 16, 17, 18, you find they don't have much planned past the next weekend. What do we want to do with our lives? You only get one, and then it's gone. And it'll go fast. A lot faster than you think. And I find way too many young people just don't have goals. Don't have ambition. They're living for the now and just the now. They don't care what happens to them a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. So while yes, you can only live in the now, what are you working towards? Where do you see yourself in a couple years? Or even if you don't have a timeline, sometimes you don't know when you're going to get to your goal, but do you have a goal? Do you plan to be in ministry? Do you plan to even just simple things? Are you planning to get a job, or are you just going to be a bum? Come on, guys. We have to have goals, right? And that seems like, well, yeah, duh. There's a lot of adults, a lot of people my age out there that don't have any goals or ambition. And it's sad. We need to have goals and ambitions, and if you're a Christian, those ambitions need to include God. So we have planning. So even up to this point, he's planned, he's looked at the city, he's still accomplished nothing, okay? We have my fourth point, and this is the step that most people never get to. He was burdened, he prayed about it, he planned for it, and now we have action. We have something getting done. And it's a great thing when you see people come together for the cause of Christ. When you see people come together and accomplish something good. A lot can go into that. We had that with camp. We have people with a burden for this ministry. We have people that have prayed about this ministry. We have people that have planned for it. And now we're here and we're having a good time. But we couldn't just have this if we just showed up and put no thought into it prior to this week. So many things in your life are going to require planning. So in Nehemiah chapter 2, we have verse 17 here. It says, "Then said I unto them," this is Nehemiah talking to the people. He's in Jerusalem now. "Ye see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lieth waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come and let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more a reproach." So now we have Nehemiah giving the command. What was the people's response? "I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me, as also the king's words that he had spoken unto me. And they said," this is the people, they said, "Let us rise up and build." So they strengthened their hands for this good work. The people are ready to do something. I think we find more often than not, people are more willing to help than you think. Just a lot of us lack that ambition and motive to get something started. We need that in this world. We need leaders. We need people to stand forward and to be men and women of action. People ready to get things started. We all sit around and look at things that need done and think, "I wish someone else would do that." I guarantee you that every single one of you knows somebody, whether it be a family member or someone from school or just a friend, that's hurting and has needs. And we're all guilty of looking at that and thinking, "Man, I wish something could happen there." I know if you are in church, I know your church has something where they're needing something. And you can look at that and think, "I wish someone would help out with that." Why not you? And why not now? We see Nehemiah was a man that was serious from beginning to end. We never saw hesitation. We never saw doubt. Once he got the go-ahead from God and knew that this was something he needed to do, he left to a place where he was very comfortable, went into a land where he was very unfamiliar because he considered it his home. As we wrap up here, I'm going to get into chapter 4 here, and we're not going to go through the whole book. I won't keep you all night. Chapter 4, verse 10, "And Judah said, the strength of this is while they're building the wall, the strength of the bearers of burdens is decayed, and there is much rubbish, so that we are not able to build the wall. And our adversaries said, They shall not know, neither see, till we come in the midst among them, and slay them, and cause the work to cease. And it came to pass that when the Jews which dwelt by them came, and they said unto us 10 times, From all places whence ye shall return unto us, they will be upon you. Therefore said I, in the lower places behind the wall, and on the higher places I even set the people after their families with their swords, their spears, and their bows. And I looked and rose up and said unto the nobles and to the rulers and to the rest of the people, Be not ye afraid of them. Remember the Lord, which is great and terrible. Fight for your brethren, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your houses." Okay, they had a little bit of a problem. So it's really fun to see an idea and jump all in. Rarely do action and plans go through without any issues, though. See, while building this wall, they had a stomach bug. Remember at the beginning I said there were some people that had moved there that were not Jews? These people had a problem that these Jews were coming back and trying to rebuild their old city. There were some very rich people who had grown prominence and had power, and they were afraid of losing that power. So we had some issues. There's some people that didn't want that wall. We had some people that were willing to fight to stop that wall. So the people were scared. They said, Nehemiah, we're using all our resources and all our men and women to build this wall, and there's no one to protect us if we get attacked. And Nehemiah could have said, well, I guess if they're going to oppose us, we could stop. What did Stephen do when he was opposed? Anyone?
He stood tall.
He stood tall. And he got stoned because of it. But he stood tall. Stephen could have backed down. He could have ran away. He could have renounced his faith, but he chose not to. And Nehemiah had the same opposition here, where he could have said, guys, it's not worth the trouble. It's not worth what I have to deal with. It's not worth the drama. It's not worth the gossip. It's not worth the people that I have to put up with. But he said, no, we're going to push on. He said, how about half of you work on the wall? The other half of you arm yourselves with weapons and stand guard. The people are like, just genius. Why didn't we think of that? We find most of the time that there's a really simple solution to whatever we think this big problem is. We just have to slow down, pray about it, and let God take control. This wall is built, and they finish it, but it wasn't without opposition. It was probably scary for them. There was a lot of people opposing it, but never once did they consider, let's stop building this. It's sad how many people get to that action phase. They're on fire for God. They have so much motivation and desire to see things done, and then a few discouragements come along the way, and they just give up. I hate that you get discouraged. I hate that it happens. You know, you'd like to think that if we're doing God's will, then everything's going to be great, right? We're serving God, but we're working with people, and people are sinners. I'm a sinner, and I'm not. You work with me, you'll find out soon enough that I have my moments. People are not perfect, so you're going to get discouraged and let down. But we cannot let that stop us from serving God. We see Nehemiah was a man of action, not just in the moment, but continually. This wasn't just a rash decision of, hey, this looks like it could be a cool idea, let's do it. And then, oh, wait, people don't like this, maybe we should stop. Nehemiah wasn't doing it because he thought it was cool. He wasn't doing it because he thought it was just a good idea in the moment. He was doing it because he knew it's what God wanted. And when you know that, nothing else should matter. So how many of us tonight can say that we're burdened when we see other people hurting? We're burdened when we see a need. How many of us can say we pray when we see those needs? Every time? I know I don't. I'm guilty. I'm guilty of seeing needs and thinking. We get so desensitized to it, don't we? We see things on the news, terrible things, but we see it so often we just don't feel bad about it. We don't. Why are we this way? It's because we're sinners. We think of ourselves, and when it comes to thinking of others, we're just not that good at it. We need God's help on that. We need to be burdened, we need to pray, and then we need to plan. Whether that's plan for our own lives, plan for something else, we need to be seeking out a solution to the problems we have. Not just hoping someone else will do it, not just hoping that it'll take care of itself, not just saying a prayer and thinking that God's going to take care of it all. God's going to take care of it all, but he wants to use you to do it, not someone else. And then lastly, we need action. You can do all the planning in the world, all the thinking, but a thought never saved anyone. We need people who are going to stand tall, who aren't going to back down from opposition, who aren't going to back down because they didn't get the support they thought they were going to get. People who stand tall because what's important to them is that they're honoring Christ. Go ahead and stand with me. You see, Nehemiah could have just been bothered by the wall and thought, that makes me sad, and then gone on with his day. Miss Rachel, would you come play some music? He could have prayed about it, said, God, please send someone to build this wall, to rebuild Jerusalem, and left it at that. He could have planned all this out and saw this is how the wall could be built, and then tried to find someone to give it to. But Nehemiah saw the need and said, I'm going to fulfill that need. And I'm going to do what I can, and I'm not going to stop no matter what I face. How many of us will look at God and say, God, I want to do this now, and I want to do it fully? Go ahead and start playing. If God's about anything this week, convicting your heart, the worst thing you can do is put it off. The worst thing you can do is ignore what's pressing on your heart. Now, you don't have to come forward and pray, but I'm going to tell you right now, you have counselors. We're about to have a fire tonight, and we're going to have fun down there. But we have a lot of adults here that love you and want to help you and want to work you through things. You probably have questions. You probably don't even know what you're struggling with. I know a lot of times I don't know what I'm struggling with. I just know I'm struggling. What you can do first is pray. Talk to God. Ask for help. And then seek guidance. Nehemiah sought a lot of help before he built this wall. He did a lot of planning. If you want to fix who you are, you need to plan.